What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel as you come in and you check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on Bill Belichick, right? And how Bill Belichick, a lot of people feel that Bill Belichick got screwed over when it came to this Hall of Fame selection thing, right? Now, I'm not even a fan of Bill Belichick, but it just makes me wonder. I think what Bill Belichick has 8 Super Bowls, right? Two with the Giants, and then he won six with New England Patriots. And for Bill, now, if a man with six, that been on 8 Super Bowl winning teams, six as a head coach, two as a defensive coordinator with the Giants, and he still can't get into the Football Hall of Fame. I don't know what's going on here, right? So I'm looking at Jason Whitlock's show, and Jason Whitlock takes this opportunity to kind of like throw Tony Dungy under the bus. And I'm like, what? What? Why do he think that Tony Dungy needs to stand up for Bill Belichick when basically, in my opinion, I think Bill Belichick's record, like his performance as a head coach, really should stand up for him. With 8 Super Bowls, you don't really need you don't need a cosigner. Like that's like somebody with a 800 credit score, trying to go get a cosign. It just don't make any sense. So with that being said, man, I'm gonna play the audio from Jason Whitlock's show and try to see like how he is trying to tie Tony Dungy into the situation with Bill Belichick and him getting snubbed.
I revere and respect Tony Dungy immensely. Immensely. I mean, I really do. A few years ago, I had him on the show. He called me out about my profanity, and it changed me because, like, man, I can't disappoint Tony Dungy. I have respect. He's right. He's called me out. He's confronted me head on like a man, challenged me as a man, and I had to adjust and change. And so I yesterday tweeted out that, like, hey, Tony, uh, you can't be silent on this Bill Belichick deal. Tony Dungy is part of the Pro Football Hall of Fame selection process. Tony Dungy has yet to say a word about what transpired with Bill Belichick. He's got to come out and either defend the people that excluded Bill Belichick, and if he played a role in excluding Bill Belichick, he needs to come out and defend that.
Let me first say before Jason Whitlock go on, right? I I think that first of all, like when have you ever seen like in Bill Belichick's his career or his history, like when has he come out to defend and stand up for anybody else? That's first. Then number two, like why is it necessary for Tony Dungy? I thought like when you vote for people to go to the Hall of Fame, I thought all that stuff was private anyway. So if you vote privately, then why should you have to defend your stance, whether it's for or against, right? What's the point of it being private?
It can't. Silence is not golden here, and that's not comfortable for me to do. To challenge someone that I respect and revere, perhaps jeopardize our relationship. Although I don't think it will, because Tony's a real man and he's a Christian man, and
I don't think, and another reason why I don't think that is going to jeopardize the relationship between Tony Dungy and Jason Whitlock is they don't have no relationship. You know what I mean? Like Tony Dungy, he knows Jason Whitlock, but it's not like they friends or buddies or anything like that. So I don't think that Tony Dungy, Jason Whitlock's opinion really hold a whole lot of weight when it comes to Tony Dungy. He really don't really, you know.
I'm calling him out respectfully. But if he played a role or participated in denying Bill Belichick first ballot induction into the Hall of Fame because of Spygate, because of Deflategate, because of some misguided view of, hey, we got to get other people in first, and of course Bill's going to make it. We need an explanation. It can't be silent.
I don't know if it's because of Spygate or I don't know if it's because of Deflategate. I know that when those things happen, like Spygate and Deflategate, like he Bill Belichick, they paid fines and stuff like that. So they were penalized for Spygate and Deflategate. So why should they penalize them again? You know, those are two separate incidents that happened like during his his career at New England. He paid the penalty for those, but he still, like I said, he still won 6 Super Bowls as a head coach for the New England Patriots. So I don't know. Is it a situation where they're still, you know, he's still paying the price for those? I would hope not.
We talked about this yesterday on this show, like with Robert Kraft. When this news first broke, Robert Kraft should have been one of the first people running out there and saying, like, man, this is a travesty. This guy led our franchise for 2 decades, did an amazing job. He's the greatest coach ever. But it took Robert Kraft about 24 hours, 20 hours. He was not one of the first people out. And then yesterday, after we called him out, and perhaps others, but I'm only aware of this show and me calling him out, Robert Kraft released a statement. Do we have Kraft's statement? Yeah.
Now that did surprise me. Like Robert Kraft, you know, because Robert Kraft has a closer relationship than somebody like Tony Dungy. He, you know, he worked for Robert Kraft. Bill Belichick worked for Robert Kraft for 20 years. So yeah, Robert Kraft should have really stood up for him. And when you think of why he didn't come to his, you know, come to his defense sooner, maybe they didn't have a you know, a really good relationship. I don't know. That's just hard to think though. You could work for somebody for 20 years and then you know, in a situation like this, like whatever your personal feelings are, you should be able to set that aside because Bill Belichick, like I said, was a part of those 6 Super Bowl wins, you know, for the New England Patriots. I think Kraft, it took him 24 hours, but I know people probably was trying to, you know, wanted his response a little bit sooner. I would think that he should, you know, immediately he would have been outraged, but he wasn't.
Whatever perceptions may exist about any personal differences between Bill and me, I strongly believe Bill Belichick's record and body of work speak for themselves. This is Robert Kraft's statement. As head coach of the New England Patriots for more than 2 decades, he set the standard for on field excellence, preparation, sustained success in free agency and the salary cap era of the National Football League. He is the greatest coach of all time. He unequivocally deserves to be a unanimous first ballot Pro Football Hall of Famer.
I agree with that. And just like I said earlier, man, I think that his record speaks for itself. So that's why I don't think that Tony Dungy, you know, like Jason Whitlock calling Tony Dungy out is really necessary. I just think that, you know, your record speaks for itself. You have a perfect credit score, and then you need a co-signer. He shouldn't need Tony Dungy to speak up for him. He shouldn't need Robert Kraft to speak up for him. He shouldn't need Tom Brady. Anybody, you know, I know that these guys, you know, they probably feel bad for him, but he shouldn't need that. It shouldn't come to that point. And so you know, his record should speak for itself. So the statement that Robert Kraft made, in my opinion, I thought it was you know, that might have been why he took so long to come forward because he was, you know, he could have been like amazed at how, you know, like the fact that he didn't get in or shocked at the fact that Bill Belichick didn't get in on the first ballot. So that might have been the reason why it took him so long.
We, me, this show, others, we smoke Robert Kraft out. He's put out a nice statement. I still contend that Robert Kraft, and I'm going to get there. Give me a second. I'm going to get there. But I still contend Robert Kraft is a part of the group that has smeared Bill Belichick over the past year and a half, 2 years, and I believe that Robert Kraft, because of this selection process and the way it's been set up with the Pro Football Hall of Fame, he found himself in competition with Bill Belichick. And he worked behind the scenes, in my opinion, and according to people connected to Bill Belichick, that he worked against Bill Belichick. He used people such as Pablo Torre and Mike Florio to work behind the scenes to this smear campaign, all this information coming out about Jordan Hudson and all that, and Pablo Torre just happens to be the source, that there's just been a behind the scenes whisper campaign about Bill Belichick. And look, Bill Belichick's brought some of it on himself with Jordan Hudson. I get it. But we can't go too far with this. This man was a brilliant NFL coach for 2 decades.
Yeah, that's why I say that his record should speak for itself. And this is if there's any truth to what Jason Whitlock is saying, far as Robert Kraft working against Bill Belichick because of like they had a falling out recently over the last couple years, then that I think stuff like that, I don't know if it's going to come out, but it's very interesting. Some of the stuff might come out because people are going to have opinions about it. People who know about what happened between Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick. Even with that being said, man, like what he did, what Bill Belichick did as a head coach should really outweigh how Robert Kraft feel about, Bill Belichick. So yeah, I'm gonna do probably another video on this, like as more information come out. But that's my take on it. I don't think Tony Dungy, I just don't think Tony Dungy has anything to answer to people for when it comes to the Bill Belichick situation. Even if Tony Dungy didn't like Bill Belichick or he had axe to grind against him, it's still a situation where like his record speaks for itself. So, like I said, that's my take on it. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, with that being said, man, don't forget to leave a comment, and I'll check you all out in the next video. Peace.